Hello everyone, I'm Bruffy1322 and welcome to the 10th and final round of the Multi-Class Endurance Championship Season 4 held on the North Loop. As we see the start for each race, you can see that we're in the Racecars Supers class for this round, with the GT1 drivers in the Nero Custom, GT2 drivers in the Itali GTB Custom, and GT3 drivers in the Sultan RS. For all the information you need about this championship, check the link in the first line of the description. So once again, I don't have any GT1 footage, but the winner of the GT1 race was Merfoss, capping off a great season that he's had. Second place was SXM Nightmare, following up from a great second place that he had in round 9 and as a new driver to the championship in round 8. And then in third place was Flaming Gun 7, matching his best result of the season with that final podium spot in the final race of the season, so well done to him. Now, I do have a little bit of footage from GT3, mainly of J. Luke, so we'll see the start for his race and then what happens. He has a very good comeback, you could say, from a pretty bad start and then having to respawn. Actually, he has a good start, I should say, and then gets involved in an incident and has to respawn. But he has a nice comeback to third place overall. But the winner of this race was Shady Fruit, getting his second win of the season. His first win was all the way back in round 3. And in second place we had Horse Demo, matching his best result. So he's had 3 second places during the course of this championship, Horst. But yeah, very well done to those guys as well. But obviously the GT2 class is where it's all still on the line. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the permutations for this. Everybody starts in their grid order in championship order. And as we're seeing here, Amarogko gets ahead of Mike there to take the lead in the top left. But the grid order for the final race is based on championship order. So we had Mike BWFC starting first, Amarogko in second, and then myself in third. We do get a little bit of a better start than Mike, and then it's, just trying to work our way through the first corner without getting into any incidents. But yeah, the permutations for this were as such that Mike BWFC would win the GT2 championship if he finished in the top 3 spots. If he finished in 4th place or lower, then I could win the championship if I won the race, and if he finished in 5th place or lower, then Amarogko could also win the championship if he won the race. But any other situation out of those would result in Mike BWFC taking the crown. So myself and Amarogko actually get a really good start, and as you can see, I managed to get up ahead of Mike. He ends up going into the back of me in one of these corners through here, and that causes a bit of an accident because then Brady goes into the back of AG Axel and it's a little bit of a mess, which gives Amarogko a very nice sort of healthy lead after a good start. So he's got a very nice lead, and obviously in round 5 was the last time we were on a circuit based in the hills, and Amarogko did very well there as well, and this is no different. But even after all of that mess, I'm still up into 2nd place, which is quite nice. So at the moment I'm kind of in a nice position, but if I'm wanting to win this championship, I need to go after Amarogko and try to beat him. But then I just miscalculate this corner a little bit, obviously, it being the first lap and all that kind of stuff, and it costs me dearly. So I go down from 2nd place all the way down to 5th and almost 6th place as well. So a bit of a disappointment there, and at that point I kind of knew that the race wasn't going to be won. Amarogko was too strong and too far away up at the front. I do catch up to Finn DNF here a few laps later and get a nice outside move done. And my pace in general isn't too bad, but as always with the GT2 class, it's all so close. Everybody's so close on pace that it's more about consistency as always with these kind of things. So I take my first pit stop on lap 3, which is the earliest possible point that I can do it. And obviously that puts me down the order, but then when other people make their pit stops, I come out ahead of them, as you would expect. So the race for me at this point, even in this early stage, I knew that I probably wasn't going to be winning the championship. I needed to be winning this race to win the championship, and me crashing out there from 2nd place was really the final nail in the coffin for me from a championship perspective. But the championship wasn't necessarily over because Amarogko was winning the race, and if he went on to win the race outright by the end of the race, Mike BWFC had to finish in the top 4 spots to beat him, and as you've seen, I've just passed Mike there after he made a mistake, and it's starting to dawn on me as I'm racing on this that Mike isn't really having the best race that he's had. Now I'm not either, obviously hitting that tree there, and I end up back behind Mike at this point and also back behind Brady as well. So yeah, I'm not having the best race either, but neither of us are, and Mike is kind of in a personal battle with himself because he keeps making mistakes as well, and he actually ends up with the best single lap of the race, but he keeps making mistakes, quite similar to, you know, my performance in, say, round 4. And he's kind of in a personal battle with himself to just try to get this 4th place. Obviously the pressure is on. He knows that Amarogko is up into the lead of the race. He knows that he needs to finish in the top 4 to take home the championship, and if he finishes below that, he's going to lose out on the championship, and Amarogko will take it home. And me, at the minute, I'm just kind of a bystander at this point. I'm just trying to get the best result I can. I know that the championship's lost at this point unless there's a disconnection from Amarogko or something, or and a miracle happens and I go on to win the race, and you know, that's not something that you ever expect or think is going to happen. So, you know, I'm just trying to get the best result that I can in what is the final race of the season, just so you can end on somewhat of a high. So as you saw there, I made that mistake, which was a bit annoying because I was doing quite well at that point. I made that mistake and I had Mike and Brady come past me, and then we get involved in kind of a nice little moment here where we're following each other around the lap. We're sort of battling with each other. It's really nice to sort of get into this flow with other drivers around a track like the North Loop. Obviously it's a very, very long circuit, sort of 5-minute levels of lap time, and to be sort of driving with people like this in a competitive format where you're trying to get past each other but you're also all sort of in a nice flow around the circuit, it's just a really nice feeling. So yeah, at the moment we were battling over 4th place, I believe it was. So we have Amarogko in the lead. AD is in AD Horse, who has won the 2 races that he's participated in as a reserve driver. He is currently in 2nd place, and Ajaxo is in 3rd. But Ajaxo is on a bit of a different pit stop strategy to the rest of us, and he sort of fluctuates in between 2nd and 3rd places for a while, and he's actually taking his pit stops a lot later than the rest of us. So he's in some good positions right until the end, but we're not going to see where he feeds out until he sort of makes his final pit stops and it all, you know, filters out to be on the same level of us as us. So just something to keep in mind. But yeah, we're battling over 4th place. Mike is in 4th, Brady is in 5th, I'm in 6th. And obviously this is the bit where a little bit of a coming together happens. I tried to avoid it because I think, I'm going to get a great advantage over this, but then I end up hitting Brady in the back, but I still managed to sort of take advantage from the crash that they had, and that puts me up into 4th place at this point. Mike goes down into 5th place, and he's in the position that he doesn't want to be in. So we kind of battle it out for a few laps. I come in to make my 2nd pit stop sort of halfway through the race, and then as Mike the next lap makes his 2nd pit stop, so we were kind of running the same pit stop strategy really, just sort of 1 lap apart. You'll see that I pass him on the exit again, so it's sort of the battle has been resumed, regular service has been resumed, and at this point we actually come out behind AD. So AD was in that sort of net 2nd place, and we've got Ajaxo just ahead of us, but he's in 3rd place at the moment. So we were actually all pretty close, you know, which was unexpected, that all 3 of us, you know, AD, myself and Mike, after the pit stops had sort of worked themselves out, had ended up on the same part of track together, battling it out. At this point, I'd been battling with Mike for a while, and he's still right behind me on the map, as you'll see. But then the most ridiculous thing happens, as you're seeing. I don't know how I survived that and was able to keep going, but more so than that, at the time I had no idea how Mike had not passed me during that, and it was because he'd made a mistake on the corner beforehand at the exact same moment. So it got quite lucky there. But yeah, it was kind of mistake ridden, this race, by myself and Mike, you could say, during the course of this race. But yeah, I come in and make my my final pit stop, and then Mike does the same another lap later, and I get back that position. So I'm in sort of a healthy 4th place. But like I said, Ajaxo was on a very different pit stop strategy to the rest of us, leaving his pit stops much later. So I was in 4th place, and I thought that was kind of just going to be it. Mike was obviously in 5th place, so not looking good for him from a championship perspective. But Ajaxo still has a pit stop to make, and this is him making it. This allows me to get up into 3rd place, so that was quite a nice little bonus towards the end of the race, and this is how it finishes. Ajaxo comes out in 4th place, Mike is kind of just behind him in 5th, and that's with Amarogko going on to win the race. That is how it finishes. Amarogko in the lead, AD in 2nd place, myself getting a podium in the final race, Ajaxo in 4th place, and Mike in 5th place. That's how it ended, with Mike finishing in 5th. He was only 3 seconds behind Ajaxo. He had the best lap of the race as well, but with Amarogko winning the race and him finishing in 5th, even though it was 3 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 30 seconds, it wouldn't have made a difference. You still finished in 5th place, you get the points for 5th place, and with Amarogko dominating the race from the start, that meant that against all odds, the title went to Amarogko. But there was one final twist to the story, because Ajaxo, as I said, he left his pit stops quite late. He actually ended up getting a penalty for an improperly timed pit stop. He took his final pit stop too early than what he was allowed to do, so he got a penalty for that, which demoted him to 5th place, promoted Mike to 4th place, and handed Mike the GT2 championship by virtue of more 2nd place finishes. This is how close it was, that a penalty on the very last race meant that the championship went to Mike on countback, and not even on countback, on wins. So both Mike and Amarogko ended on exactly the same points, 92 points. Both had 2 victories throughout the course of this championship, and Mike's 4 second placed finishes during the course of this championship compared to Amarogko's 2 is what won him the championship on countback. And it's absolutely crazy that it can be that close after the end of a 10-round championship of 10 hour-and-a-half long races, that it ends up being decided on countback just to 2nd place finishes, and the late race penalty sort of just throwing a spanner in the works completely. Now the thing is though, at the end of this championship, all 3 of us who were in contention for the final round, myself, Amarogko and Mike, we were all in agreement that we were all worthy winners. Had it not been for obviously Ajaxo's penalty here, or Amarogko's own penalty in round 7, he'd have won the title by a small margin. Had it not been for Mike's penalty in round 8, he'd have won by a small but slightly larger margin than what he already did. And had I had a better result in either of my poor rounds 4 and 5, or even just simply not disconnected 2 laps from the end of the race in round 7, I'd have won the title by a small margin as well. I kind of join Smithy 112 from season 2 in that small group of people now, of people who've lost a championship due to a disconnection. And whilst that is initially hard to take, you do get over it, and ultimately the points never lie. I should have done a better job in my poor rounds to make the disconnection not matter in the first place. Amarogko had a slow start to the championship, but got better and better race by race to really sort of push Mike down to the wire. And Mike ultimately took home the crown thanks to just putting in some excellent performances and taking points when other people faltered in races. Now, all 3 of us had great championship battles, and it was an absolute pleasure to be a part of something so close. And from a personal perspective, I don't think anybody ever expected me to be this high up in the championship, and if I'd been offered, 2 race wins and a team's championship at the start of this season, I'd have absolutely taken it. So, congratulations to Merfos, who dominated GT1, Mike, who just managed to hold on in GT2, and Dronballs, who was supreme in GT3, all very worthy champions for the PS4 MCEC Season 4 Championships. Also, we had the Ron Racing team of Merfos, myself and Dronballs take home the team's championship for the first time ever after 4 seasons of participating in it. And of course, thank you to everyone who was involved, from all the competitors across the whole season, Zero Striker for the great camera shots that we didn't get to see anywhere near enough of during the course of these videos, the various pit watchers that helped us out, and obviously AJ Axel and Brady, who helped organise the PS4 side, as well as Friendly Baron on PC and Equation on Xbox One. I am sorry that it's taken so long to get the coverage of this season up, but hopefully you guys have enjoyed the ride that we've been on nevertheless. Speaking of the Xbox One though, we do have a team's championship to settle on that score. So let's move on to the final round for the team's championship, for the Xbox One race I should say, and probably the closest team's championship I've ever seen in the history of the MCEC. So quickly before I get on to that, I'll just tell you how the races went in GT1. We had King Blaze get his last win of the season to ensure that he had a full 120 points for the championship. All That Design reserve driver got 2nd place and Danielson came home in 3rd. In GT2 we're going to talk about that battle as it pertains to the team's championship, but in 3rd place we had Edible Hornet, who secured 2nd place in the championship with that result. And then in the GT3 battle we had Faruja get his 2nd win in a row and 2nd win in of the season after a really good battle with Matty H and Specky Legend in the first parts of the race, as we'll see, as Bar 27 was further up the road and taking advantage of some crashes. Faruja manages to catch up to him and then go on to win the race, and that's the sort of footage that we'll see as I'm talking about the team's championship. Matty H ended up finishing in 2nd place with Epic Octane in 3rd. So coming into this race, the long-time leaders of the Xbox One Teams Championship were Glowboil, and they were sitting on 257 points. But after losing their GT1 driver Xbox Pro midway through the season, they'd gradually been caught up by 2nd placed Beta Pharmaceuticals, who now sat on 255 points, and that's only 2 points difference between them coming into the final round. Now in GT1, King Blaze got the win for Beta Pharmaceuticals to take home 15 points, and All That Design came home in 2nd place as a reserve driver for Glowboil to take home 12 points. So that put Beta Pharmaceuticals on 270 points, with Glowboil on 269, so 1 point in it. In GT3 we had Matty H finish in 2nd place, and he was for the Glowboil team, so he got 12 points for them. Infamous Ryan finished in 5th place to take home 6 points, which put Beta Pharmaceuticals on 276 points, with Glowboil on 281, a difference of 5 points, with only the GT2 class to really sort out at this point. So that's what it all came down to, that GT2 class. Midge Copyright, who was for the Glowboil team, was set to finish in 4th place and take home 8 points. That made the points total for Glowboil, the long-time leaders coming into this round, and were leading by 2 points coming into the round. Their total points for the season would be 289. That meant that RJ Slow for the Beta Pharmaceuticals team would have to take home all 15 points for winning GT2 and obviously win the race to have his team, Beta Pharmaceuticals, win the championship from under the nose of Glowboil right at the end. And coming into the final half of the final lap of this hour-and-a-half long race, that's exactly where he was, after basically having a back and forth battle with Trumpet Master for the entire race. Obviously Trumpet Master has won quite a lot of the races for GT2, he's your GT2 champion on the Xbox side. Then coming into the final twisty parts of the lap, and it's really a shame that we don't have any footage of this, but I can remember it as clear as day because we were watching the perspectives live on the live stream. We were watching this as it unfolded and it was incredible. Trumpet Master was right behind RJ Slow, battling for the win of the race, and RJ Slow made the tiniest of little mistakes, but it allowed Trumpet Master to get through and then go on to win the race. And it really was, 15 seconds of the race to go. It was the final twisty parts of the last lap of this entire hour and a half long race. But what that meant was that RJ Slow only took home 12 points for finishing in second place in GT2 and put the points total for Beta Pharmaceuticals, his team, King Blaze's team, on 288, which was just a single point behind Globe Oil, who took the championship after being seconds away from losing it right at the end. It was literally 15 seconds. If RJ Slow had held on for the final 15 seconds in the lead of the race, then he obviously would have won the GT2 race and Beta Pharmaceuticals would have taken home the championship. But because he lost that position at the very end to Trumpet Master, they end up losing the championship by a single point. And obviously also with that victory for Trumpet Master, that gave him an extra 3 points. He got 15 points instead of 12. His team, Digital Den, were able to overhaul Arcadius for third place in the team's championship. So it's amazing that a single overtake on the final lap of an hour and a half long race can change the championship positions for 4 teams. Just unbelievable that a team's championship, especially with it having so many different variables in it, with all these different drivers scoring all these different points, the top 4 positions changed in the final 20 seconds of the final race. Just amazing that it came down to that. So yeah, for the GT2 race, obviously Trumpet Master did finish in first, RJ Slow in second. Trumpet Master got 115 points for his championship victory in GT2, and RJ Slow came home in third place in the GT2 championship with Edible Hornet in second. Those 3 were had a very good season. And yeah, just very, congratulations to King Blaze, obviously, for winning the GT1 championship on Xbox, Trumpet Master for winning in GT2, and Matty H for winning in GT3. The top 3 teams in the team's championship of Globe Oil, who won the team's championship, congratulations to them, Beta Pharmaceuticals, who were 1 point behind, and then Digital Den. Each of those 3 teams had championship winners in them. Obviously, King Blaze with Beta Pharmaceuticals, Trumpet Master for Digital Den, and Matty H for Globe Oil. So a good amount of representation, we should say, for all the teams and the championships on Xbox. But now let's move on quickly to the PC side of things. It was kind of a little bit of a disappointing final round for PC, where we had a wide variety of disconnections, people not being able to get into the race in the first place. The championships were all pretty much done and dusted anyway, but it was just a shame that the race wasn't as good. But in GT1, Eskers got his 3rd win of the season, but his actual first win in the GT1 class, with Serenial in 2nd place, matching her best result of the season, and King Blaze, who just raced in the Xbox One race and won that race, finished in 3rd place on his first appearance in the PC side of things. In GT2, Jed solidified his 2nd place. Mountain Jed solidified his 2nd place in the championship with a victory in the final round, with GT2 champion Cloud McShort in 2nd place, and Beta 1 Hit getting by far his best result of the season in a great 3rd place and taking that final podium spot, so well done to him. In GT3, we had Justice getting a win as a reserve driver after winning the GT5 secondary championship on the PC side as well, with Deviator in 2nd place and Kuntash in 3rd place, basically in the final race matching their championship positions, with Xbox One GT2 champion Trumpet Master finishing up in 4th place in this race. So once again, congratulations to Avivo for winning GT1, with Cloud McShort winning the GT2 championship and Benimi taking home the crown in GT3. Very good seasons from all of those. And also the U-Tool team also took home the team's championship. That was, of course, made up by Avivo and Benimi, who both did very well in multiple different GTs during the course of the season, in the case of Benimi, and Sugar Free Nos as well, who did give them some points during the course of the season, but then unfortunately bowed out earlier on in the season as well. So yeah, that is it. All the championships wrapped up. One final thing that I want to say is that this whole thing, the MCEC, it's meant to be an endurance championship of endurance races, but the championship itself is quite an endurance to get through it. It's not the easiest thing to make your way through all of these races. And I just want to give a shout out to all the people who made it through all the rounds throughout the course of the season, MCEC season 4. I'll put them all on the screen now. We had a lot of drivers who participated in races, and we had a lot of drivers who did 9 races, 8 races, 7 races, whatever, and a lot of people who only did 1 or 2, dropped out early or just reserved for other people, things like that. But these were the guys who were there week in, week out, all 10 rounds they attended, and I always like to shout out those people who managed to get through all the rounds, as well as the only team that had all drivers make it through all the rounds, and that was of course the Scuderia Flavio team, so well done to them as well. So that's pretty much it. That is over that is the MCEC season 4 over with. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed. Let me know all your thoughts down below in the description. Would you like to see a season 5? Yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. There will be one special bonus video coming for this series, if you like, but keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, that's pretty much it. Thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.